Hi there. Robert Stearns today has an excellent message on worship and sound waves and their effect on eternity. It is so cool. And I know that I want to understand the ways of God more. I'm always looking to understand his heart and his ways. And every time he reveals more of his ways, it just makes me want to worship him more. There's something about when you understand the greatness of God and the intricacies of creation and all that he's done to create these things for us and how everything interconnects. It's so awesome. It just makes you want to worship him. How can you not help? So here's our good friend, Robert Stearns. Enjoy.
Well, what is worship? Is worship singing some songs from a hymnal on a Sunday morning? Really, I think worship is about the intentional giving of your focus to someone or something. America has a love affair with the television and a love affair with the internet. We give ourselves to media, we give our attention, we give our time. And there are values and messages that we're receiving from that media, either consciously or subconsciously. That's what the advertising industry is all about. So for me, I think worship is about intentionally focusing on God, intentionally focusing on God's presence, God's power, God's character, God's love, dialing out, tuning out other things, other voices, and focusing on his presence, on his voice. And so, if you're married, how important is communication with your spouse? It's what it's all about. If you're going to be a good parent, how important is communication with your child? In the same way, if we're going to have a relationship with God, we've got to create that space. And I think worship is the vehicle where we tune our hearts to give our request to God and to receive God's answers back. As a musician, I'm fascinated by the concept of sound. It's an amazing metaphysical study to really look into the physicality of sound, the concept of sound waves, how they create a force in the atmosphere, and the physical theory that once sound is uttered, once sound is voiced, it really is in a sense eternal. It's there, it's pervasive, it's out there in the atmosphere. Its waves may decrease to a place of not being able to hear them physically, but it's out there. And so the difference between words of hate being lifted up or the noise of hatred or distraction being lifted up versus lifting up sounds of beauty, lifting up sounds of hope, lifting up sounds of light. I think when we release those kind of sounds into the atmosphere, I really believe that in some powerful way it touches and changes the atmosphere around us. Scientists have done studies on how music impacts the physical body, how at a cellular level, at a structural level in our cells, music has the power to absolutely impact, our physical body. So I think we have to really take careful responsibility about the kind of sound that we bring into ourselves and the kind of sound that goes out from us. Yeah, it's interesting. In Scripture, there's different concepts that we get. The Scripture talks about 4 living creatures who are around the throne of God, these amazing angelic beings, the 4 living creatures, and it talks about the 24 elders who are around the throne of God. And, we venture into the place of theory here, but it's interesting that we divide our day into 24 hours. It's interesting that the year is divided into 4 seasons. It's interesting that there's 12 months of the year that we move through. And so I find it interesting to think that the universe can be tuned to a heavenly rhythm, and that there are actual tonalities that can correspond to different seasons, different calendar times, that there are different tones on the scale that could relate to those seasons and times, and that there's rhythms that are coming from a heavenly uncreated place. I mean, we venture into the realm of speculation, but it's fun to speculate.